Hi, everybody. Okay, today is day 10 of our quantum becoming. And today I want to talk about sourcing grace for yourself and for the world. I put a kind of subhead into it about riding the smooth waves of our quantum becoming. So I'm going to cover kind of a lot of territory on this one, perhaps. Okay, so sourcing is like one of my favorite words. It's very different from creating or activating or making happen, or sourcing means to me that you got this. You are having this happen. You've got it all the way through it, and it's like a special mastery that is just so beautiful. I just love the word and the energetics and the process of sourcing. And of course, I also love the word grace. And it used to be, it wouldn't have been a word I would have chosen some years ago. I wouldn't have chosen the word grace, but now I love it because grace in your life looks like a steady, beautiful flow of abundance, of ideas, of innovation. I keep talking about that on each of the videos. Um, but it also means when you have grace in your life, that your emotions don't rule you. You still have them and love them, but you're in charge of them. And it lets you ride if there's any bumps or troughs and peaks in the wave of our quantum becoming, that you just ride it smoothly, like as if you've learned to surf, kind of thing. Because a lot of people talk about this time, and I get it, that as being extraordinarily intense. And so what happens when it's so intense is that you might get sometimes pressure on your head, or you wake up with funny feelings, or you might even feel dizzy or nauseous, or slightly discombobulated because of the intensity of the high vibrational frequencies coming in from solar flares, from the universe, from the earth, and Schumann resonance. All of that kind of stuff is having effects. And I said that in December, it was one of the most intense months I've probably experienced in a long time. However, I rode the smooth waves of December because I knew at the beginning of December it was going to be like that, and I knew it was going to be slow in December. And that's exactly how it was. And so I just rested into it. I took it easy. I didn't judge my lack of oomph. I just rode the smooth waves of grace through December into January. And literally on December 31st and January 1st, boom, I had that oomph back. I could feel my drive returning. I think others felt similarly, although it may have occurred quite differently for all of us. So, and also sourcing grace for the world, not just for yourself in your own life, but for others and for the world. Because when you're sourcing grace, and I'm going to say grace with a capital G, because grace is like a state of being, or a universal force, you could say. It's different than the force or the miracle of life, power, or, they're all slightly nuanced differently. And grace with a capital G, it has knowing and understanding in it. It has a big picture seeing, an ability to step back from the fray and to see what's happening and to understand the potential and the possibilities of it. And then you can source grace into your own life and into the world on any circumstance that you want. Hey, go on. Yeah. So she said, I feel grace for me is also unconditionally accepting what is and helps me to leave resistance and step back. Yes, I love the smooth waves. Yeah, 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 exactly. Me too. Yeah, brilliant. Yes, because, and when you source grace, it's not just like, oh, you get to a place where all that's okay. You actually source grace. It's like making friends with a universal power force. I guess I would say it that way. And you can pour this grace with a capital G into your life, into the world, into a circumstance, into your country, into whatever. And I think when you source grace into something, it gets lighter and easier. The fray perhaps starts to synergistically form new connections and make its way towards its potential and possibilities and purpose much more gracefully than if you didn't source grace in it. So how do I source grace? Okay, so for myself, I go to the high vibrational frequency and I rest in the greater comprehension and understanding of the universe and creation and the new dreaming of us and the possibilities of us all. And it's more like a resting power state. It's not like I'm making movement happen, you know? And so if I wanted to source grace for the world, I would become the all, the universe, the quantum field, the earth, whatever version of that you or I want to become. And then I would see the world, or I would see the country, or I would see the circumstance. I would kind of put it as my central focus in what I call the quantum field, the field where the activation of potential possibilities, genius, ideas, innovation occur. And then I would bring that state of being, that power force, into the world and fill it with grace, with capital G. And then I think it all gets easier and smoother. The chaos, it's still there, I would say, sometimes. That's because it's a whole world and there's a lot of influences going on at the time. But I think I'm getting more and more and more able to be a primary influencer in all that. So, because I think that's what life wants, and I can align with what the universe, the earth, and what life wants. And when I can do that, then it becomes more available in the consciousness, the reality, the vibrational frequency of us all. So in my own life, I got this. You know, I've got this completely. And in myself, to exist in a state of exhilarated grace, I'm going to call it. In a state of exhilarated grace, I add action to it. I add oomph and vitality and vibrational, activations to it. So I don't want to occur in a state of like, you could use the word peacefulness. I prefer the word grace. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a stillness in peacefulness, and I want exhilaration and activation and movement and, excited creations. And so, but the grace state makes it highly comprehensible to me. I understand it, I have knowing. My emotions do not run the system. I use them to power the movement. And I live in a state of flow within myself, and a state of flow in everything around me and in my life and my work. And that state of flow is just a brilliant way to live. It's, I think back years ago, and it was more like my state of being was kind of choppy all over the place. It definitely wasn't a state of grace and flow, nor was it an exhilarated state of flow. But now it's more like, I got this. And no matter what happens, even if something comes up, I stay in that state of grace and flow and exhilaration. And I source the movement, the potential. And I think grace is a way to make the movement towards that potential and possibility smooth, rather than chaotic and jumbly and conflictual and all of that kind of stuff. So grace, I love it. Flow, I'm a fan. So shall we just do an example of it so you can play with it yourself? Okay, so take any circumstance in your life or in the world. I think it's kind of easier if you do it for the world, but it's up to you if you want to do it for yourself. So take a circumstance in the world that you want to see grace and flow and exhilaration of potential and possibility for. Okay, so I'm going to pick the UK because that's the country I'm living in at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to get myself to the place where I am sourcing life and what life wants to come through me now. And I take the United Kingdom. I have a great love for it, by the way. I really love living here. I think it's an amazing country. Green fields and just great food and lovely, kind people and great air and all kinds of good things. So, and then I'm going to source grace into the quantum becoming of the United Kingdom into its next level of future possibilities, future innovation, future potential. Oh, there's a moment where that exhilarated motion, that oomph or drive, goes into this smooth flow, grace with a capital G state. You can feel it. It's like, I got this. We've got this. And it just all settles into a beautiful, as if you're setting the pathways right somehow. I just to talk about pathways for a minute, it's one of the things I do really, really well as a quantum coach. I look down pathways for people, choices that they can make, and is this going to be optimal for what they want in life? And what happens when you source grace into these pathways, these choices, these decisions, is that they go from like this kind of in the field, trying to find their way into like, again, this synergistic happening comes together, and they sort themselves out, and they go boom, and they start to be clearer and easier. And so I would say sourcing grace with the capital G for someone or something or the world or the universe allows the pathways to come together, allows the synergy, allows the right people to find you. Instead of being all choppy, it goes into a state of synergistic flow and creation, which is really exciting. I love it. So I hope you got wonderful things from playing with that. Okay, that's it for today, everybody. Lots of love.